Now, falling asleep doesn't mean that you're not going to church. It doesn't mean that you weren't living as a Christian. It just meant you weren't paying attention to the moment you were living in. We were unaware of the time frame we were living in. It was easy. We had people in leadership that agreed with us and were not out to get us and slay us at every moment. So it was kind of easy. When we have righteousness in the house, people just lay back and they don't have to fight so hard. And so the church fell asleep. And then half the church started to wake up and realize this is not good. And they started to get their oil together and their relationship and begin to hear what the word of the Lord was saying. And the other half of the church is still in la-di-da-di land and hasn't gotten their oil ready, doesn't even care. You know why? Because they believe it's all just going to get better. But according to the story, the groom comes and he hollers for the bride and the trumpet goes off. And just before it does, the other 5 wake up, but there's not enough time for them to get their stuff together. So they ask to have what the others have. I'm going to tell you something. I can't give you my oil because my oil didn't come free. And my oil isn't something I can just hand you. It came from hours on my knees. And it came from hours in the Word, and it came from hours of study, and it came from time in prayer, and it came from separating myself from the world and choosing when everybody else wanted to go out and party, I didn't partake with the world. It came from the choices in my life that were one after another, and choosing not to follow the same path everyone was going, because God was calling me down a different path. Well, God, why are you doing this? I look stupid. I look weird. I'm in my 20s and everyone else is partying and running around and you've got me living the life of a youth pastor and it's boring. And I'm having to be careful of my words because I got people listening to me and I gotta watch myself all the time. And I live in a house of glass when everyone else is getting to just have their kids and live their life and I'm having to live this life of sacrifice. I kind of felt like a nun for a bit. Lord, I mean, I was married. I had my kid, but I felt like a nun a little bit. I couldn't go and do the stuff everyone else. Well, why don't you come out drinking with us? Why don't you smoke with us after the thing and just become a part of the group? And the Holy Spirit says, you value your lungs, right? And your vocal cords? Oh, why do you have to be right there all the time? Being part of the bride, there's a separateness. There's I'm married to something. There's a weight. There's a mantle. There's a calling. There's a chain. Paul compared it to slavery. But Paul never said it wasn't joy. He never said that. It was slavery, but there was joy in it. Why? Because I know where I'm going. And I know how I'm going to get there. And I know when it comes to it, I'm going to look back at this world and think, oh, thank God he kept me from all that junk. Thank God that I may have lived a little bit recluse compared to the rest of the world, but he kept me. And in the quiet place, he anointed my life, and I'm okay with that. And I quit worrying about the things I was missing and looked forward to the things he had in my life and the things he was bringing. The bride is called to a quiet place to draw away and to meet with the groom. And in that place, he works with us. He works on us. And we come out a very different person. You can't share your oil with someone else. You just can't. It's yours. And each one of us have you ever noticed that all of us have a different way we talk to God? And he talks to us. It's very personal. Why? Because he knows your story. He knows your history. He knows how your parents talked, how your aunts talked. He knows who has wounded you. He knows who you are. He knows you better than you know yourself. Did you know when I'm struggling the worst, I go to God and say, God, I don't know what's wrong, but you do. And I just feel off. what's going on. Did you know he will pinpoint what I don't know? He will tell me what's going on in my soul, in my heart, in my emotions, in my body, in my spirit, where something's off. A lot of times what's off is I got too much on my plate. I'm burning the candle at both ends, and there's no wax in between, and it's just burning the wick down. That's what's happened in my life, probably the most. Because I'm a type A person.